the host of Cooley and Kevin on 980 ESPN in Washington. Kevin Sheehan joins us now with the outside view look at the Washington Redskins, who come in with a must-win for them, right, Kevin? I mean, this is a game that the Redskins absolutely have to have. I mean, even if the Eagles win it, not doing much to help their playoff chances, but Washington absolutely needs this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately if they get 3 out of the final 4, they got a really good shot. But if they don't win Sunday, it's going to feel for them like it's over because they lost 2 games in a row, the Thanksgiving Day game to Dallas, which they could have had, and the Arizona game last week. They just didn't play well defensively. They're not very good defensively. And 3 losses in a row would seem like the end of the season for sure.
How about this Washington, team in terms of last year? They were in a similar situation where they needed to really turn it on in December, and they did. Same vibe around this team?
Yeah, it's different. Last year was so unexpected. It sort of came out of nowhere. A couple of weeks ago, I think that it was maybe the high point recently for optimism. They pounded Green Bay on a Sunday night, and even after losing at Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, they had put up 540 yards offense. Kirk had thrown for 449, and I think everybody felt like it was going in the right direction, and the expectation after that game is that they would be a playoff team. And then they lost at Arizona, a team that it was reeling themselves a little bit. To right the ship, they really do have to beat the Eagles. And I think if they do, they'll make a run to the playoffs, and I think they'll be that 5th or 6th seed. But Sunday's huge.
You mentioned the Washington defense. Their run defense allowed at least 100 yards on the ground in each of the first 5 games of the year. Now, since then, only twice in the last 7 games. What changed with that run defense?
And it really doesn't matter. They're horrific defensively right now. They're the worst team in the league. They really are. Worst team in the league on 3rd down. Arizona was struggling going into the game last week. They converted 10 of 16 on 3rd down. Teams have had their way with this defense recently, and it's a shame because offensively, the Redskins, they don't punt. I mean, they lead the league in fewest 3-and-outs, fewest punts. Their red zone offense has struggled, but they move the ball up and down the field on everybody, but their defense can't get anybody off the field. Now, maybe Sunday, Philly is a team that, offensively is struggling themselves, doesn't have the same talent maybe that Arizona has, certainly not what Dallas or Green Bay have, and maybe defensively they have a game that at least gets to the average level, but they've really been bad defensively. It's a shame because if they got anything defensively from this team, they'd really be a threat, in the postseason to win a game or 2. But they really rely on their offense, guys.
And we thought the Eagles' defense on 3rd down's been horrible, but now you make us feel better.
You ain't lying, man.
Yeah, they're at historic lows right now. They're giving up 48% on 3rd down. I don't think there's been a team in the league that's finished that bad in the last 10 years. And it seems worse, guys, because they're all 3rd and longs. I mean, last week there were 6 3rd and 8 or longer that Arizona converted. They can't get off the field without the other team self-destructing.
Let's talk about a guy that's had a lot of success against the Eagles, Kirk Cousins. So what's his story right now, and do you think Cousins gets the deal that he wants from Washington this offseason?
Well, they'd be nuts not to give it to him. He is a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's a perfect fit for the West Coast offense for Jay Gruden and his offense. Statistically, until last week, he was on a tear, guys, where he was putting up elite numbers. He's going to set more franchise records this year. He'll probably set the record for yards in a season. He'll probably be very close to the record that he set last year for completion percentage. He has really developed before our eyes. There were a lot of doubters. Even recently, there have been a lot of doubters. I think even the biggest Kirk naysayers now understand that the Redskins are lucky to have, one of those 15 to 18 legitimate starting quarterbacks, and they're going to have to pay him. And if they don't pay him, then they'll give him the franchise tag again. but it really starts to get pricey if they go that route. A lot of us thought they should have given him the deal last summer. The NFL, it's like today's overpayment is tomorrow's bargain, and they just sort of delayed the inevitable. They're going to have to pay him. He's going to get a contract that's going to floor people. It's going to be close to the biggest contract ever for a quarterback. But 2 years from now, it'll pale in comparison to someone else's. But he's going to get paid.
Kevin Sheehan joins us with the outside view as we talk Redskins and Eagles. Now, going back to the defense, the last time Washington's defensive line was all over Carson Wentz in week number 6. Any reason to think that changes this time around?
You know what? That Philly game is the only game this year that the Redskins truly dominated, and the score really didn't reflect, if you guys remember, how much the Redskins dominated that game. And defensively, it was one of their best efforts. I mean, the Eagles scored on a pick six and a kickoff return. The defense played its best game of the season. They have not been that good against anybody else. It was really an aberration performance, and it'd be great if they had another one. If they have another one, they'll win, because offensively, it's been hard keeping the Redskins from 400-yard games and, somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 to 30-plus points a game. So defensively, if they get 4 or 5 stops on Sunday, I think they win.
Yeah, the Eagles, we heard a similar story when Green Bay came here. They couldn't get off the field. They were horrible, and Philadelphia put 13 points on the board. That's how bad the offense has been here, Kevin. But one guy who could help them is Deshaun Jackson. Give us some insight on that whole rumor floating around. Would he? Is Washington done with him? Are they willing to let him walk? Does he want to come back to Philly? What's your take on that whole story?
I mean, the big debate in D.C. has been, do you keep Garcon or do you keep Jackson? Not that they'll have a choice, because both are unrestricted free agents. They could theoretically franchise one of them. They won't do that, especially if they have to use the franchise tag on Cousins. Here's the thing about Deshaun. Since the day he got here, he's actually been great. The team likes him. He's not been a distraction. There haven't been any issues like we thought there might be. They got a good deal with him a couple of years ago, but it's his availability. He's just not available a lot. He played 10 games last year. He's already missed a game and a half this year. When he's on the field and healthy, he really is a difference maker. Even if he's not catching balls, he's spreading the field out and making it easier for guys like Jordan Reed and Garcon and Jamison Crowder. But my guess is that he won't be back. My guess is they'll really be aggressive in trying to bring Garcon back. Garcon's more of a complete player. He is probably, Garcon, their biggest competitor on the team. I think they'll want him back, and it'll be hard to afford both of them.
Status for Jordan Reed this week?
I think he's going to play. He felt much better yesterday, and he said he thought he'd be good to go. And usually if the player says it, he'll be ready. They are a lethal offensive team with him on the field and Jackson on the field simultaneously. They missed him last week against Arizona. If he's back, they're in much better shape.
The level of concern on the Beltway this week for this Eagles game, or is this that kind of game that it's like, if you can't beat the Eagles the way they're going right now, we don't deserve to be in the playoffs? Is that the kind of feel?
I'm not giving them any of that juice. I will tell you, as a fan of the team, I know this. In this division, we all know it. Eagles, Redskins, Giants, Cowboys. It doesn't matter where you are. You play on the road in this division, regardless of where you are in your season. It's not going to be easy. Vegas, put this thing out at a pick earlier in the week. I think the Redskins are -1, -2, somewhere in that area now. I would expect this to be a very tight game. And Philly, off that performance last week against the Bengals, I would expect their best this week. I would think that they'd want to bounce back from that performance. It's never, ever easy. Whether it's in Philly, D.C., or New York or Dallas, it's never easy.
No, I agree with that portion. The part we keep waiting for is, after the performance in Seattle, they got to perform better. Then they get waxed by Green Bay. They got to perform better. Then they get waxed by a Bengals team. A lot of people questioning whether the Eagles have quit. It's been a wild week here, Kevin, and the two teams, Washington and Philly, renew their rivalry at the Link in Philly this Sunday. Kevin Sheehan, 980 ESPN. Thanks, pal.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.